Hi, this is John with Performance Plus Tennis, and in today's lesson I'm going to teach you how to improve your slice serve right away with these 5 tips. And if you stick around until the end, we have a free gift for you that's going to help you not only with your slice serve, but with every shot in the game. The first key to slicing the serve is to make sure you've got a Continental grip, because the Continental grip is what's going to allow you to cut across the ball and create a spin, and it's also going to enable an active and full range of motion so you can also generate power. So very quickly, the Continental grip can be very easily found by just extending the racket out so you can create a straight line from the shoulder to the tip of the racket. And in this case, my index finger knuckle is on the bevel to the right of the top. So I'm very comfortable for me to find this straight line feeling here. It's also called the hammer grip. So if you can imagine my finger being a nail and the racket being a hammer, I would be using it to bring the racket to the ball on edge, and that's the hammer grip or the Continental grip. That is a key ingredient to hitting a slice serve. And step 2 is learning to get the feel for the slice. And I've got a simple exercise for you that's going to help you cut across the ball and get the feel for how you're going to strike the ball on the slice serve. I've got a ball in my left hand. I'm going to bounce the ball and I'm going to cut it back to my left hand. Cut it with side spin and back to the hand and back. And you can see when I'm doing this that my racket is floating across the front of me. So this little action here, cutting the ball and floating back and finishing here, is very similar to the finish you're going to have on the slice serve itself. So if you just do this for a couple minutes, you'll start to get the feel for having the strings cut across the ball, send it back to the opposite hand, and then have a finish across the body. And that's going to get you started with what it feels like to slice the ball. Tip number 3 is understanding where to place the ball properly to create the slice, but also not reveal to your opponent that you're playing a slice. And when you're first learning the slice serve, it's easy, and oftentimes coaches will say, toss the ball out to the right, because if the ball's off to the right for a right-handed player, there's only one way I can get to it, and that is to chase it. And if I chase a ball that's off to the right, it's pretty easy to cut across the ball and create a slice effect. So in the beginning, that would be acceptable to understand and develop the feel for getting slice. But as you move along in your skill, what I want you to do is try to minimize the variation in your ball toss so you don't reveal to your opponent where you're playing the ball or if you're even playing a slice or not. And in the case of Roger Federer, he places the ball in the same place every time, whether he's hitting a topspin serve, he's hitting a flat serve, hitting what I call a flat slice serve, which is a flatter serve with some slice, or a full slice serve. So he's able to conceal where he's playing the ball, which is part of the effectiveness of his serve. Not always the speed, but the placement and the fact that the opponent can't see where the ball is being played. So, where is that ideal place? Well, I think the ideal place for almost every serve is right above, inside the shoulder, between the shoulder and the ear, right in here. If you can get right in here and start slicing right in there, you can either hit flatter, you can hit top, and you can hit slice. So the ideal place to play that ball is really more inside the shoulder rather than outside the shoulder. The other benefit of being inside the shoulder is you can rotate the shoulder through contact. If you get outside the shoulder, that movement becomes harder and harder to do. You're literally just sort of tomahawking the racket out there, where if it's above you more, you can turn that shoulder through and generate a lot more power and spin. So that is the ideal place to play the slice ultimately. When you're first learning, you can certainly place it off to the right a little bit to get that slicing effect. But as you get a little more experience, understand the slice, place that ball more above you and slice it. And that'll help you not only conceal where it's going, but it's obviously going to make it more difficult for your opponent to read, and it's also going to still enable you to slice the ball pretty well. And step number 4 is attacking the ball on edge. And again, this is all part of the Continental grip and the motion that is produced as a result of the grip. But when you're moving on to the ball and coming up out of the back scratch position, we don't want the racket to open up and have the palm lay back, which is such a common problem amongst club level players. Just hold that position and let the racket come up on edge, because that position is what's going to enable you to generate a lot of racket head speed and cut across the ball, which we're going to get into next. So make sure that you feel the sensation when you get back here that the strings don't turn and face the sky, because now all you can do is kind of hit a flat serve and it really absorbs the power out of the swings. A lot of things wrong with that. Really feel as though you hold that edge onto the ball as long as you can in your upward swing. Step number 5 is to attack the ball on a 45-degree angle to create the spin on the ball. So you're coming up on the ball on edge, and as you're coming onto the ball, your strings are going to start to face the ball slightly and then cut across at a 45-degree angle out towards, in this case, the net post or the light post. So a 90-degree angle would be straight across the baseline. No angle would be straight ahead. We want to go right at a 45. And when you go right at a 45, you're going to actually strike the 3 o'clock side of the ball. If you imagine the ball as the face of a clock, your strings are actually going to get out there on the side of the ball and really cut pretty close to that 3 o'clock mark and just throw your racket right across that ball to get your slice on the serve. And as a bonus tip, I want you to feel the finish. And while the finish itself doesn't affect the ball, the intent to finish on the slice a certain way will help enhance the performance of the shot. And if you recall, in step number 2, we worked on cutting the ball and having the racket come back and finish in front of you and slightly underneath. So from a side view, the racket would look more like this, underneath. So when we're slicing, what I want you to do is try to produce the same finish where the racket is finishing underneath and your palm is facing your right hip for a right-handed player. And the intent to do that is going to get that racket to cut across the ball and come underneath, and it's going to help produce more spin. So the more you can relate this to this, the better you're going to be able to produce a good slice serve with a lot of action on it. I hope you really enjoyed and benefited from today's lesson. Thanks a lot for sticking around to the end. For your free gift, click on the link down below to gain access to our free library of lessons on our website that reveals and presents all the foundational principles you need to master to achieve your full potential in tennis. And please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel because it really helps out. And turn on your notifications because we're releasing new content weekly and we don't want you to miss out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.